Uh, Thank you very much for giving us such an illuminating talk on the climatic change and its impact not only on the agriculture, health and other areas of our life, but even highlighting the impact of various gadgets which we use in our day-to-day life and how it affects the levels of energy consumption and all that. Before requesting Professor S.K. Sharma for his presidential remark, I think we can have some questions.
Yes.
So we have some questions.
I think let's have a discussion. I'm free for questions, but let's have a discussion.
So we have this session, interactive session, where you're requested to raise issues and questions so that we discuss it.
After hearing this grim picture of there being no glaciers in China or Tibet and Punjab's river drying up, is there any hope for man to survive?
Well, the idea is that we should start decarboning our lives. I mean, if we are able to reduce the impact of climate change and global warming, if it goes at this same level, we are reaching this scenario. I mean, we are virtually going back to Stone Age. But if we take immediate remedial steps and we are able to control the carbon dioxide emission and the greenhouse gases, yes, I think certainly, and we need mitigation strategies. And there are lots of, the technology is now there. In fact, environment is now proving to be a trigger for new technology. You know, initially people used to say that development and environment are opposite factors. It's not the case. Environment is actually leading to development of new and safe and better technologies, which will actually should make life better for us. But we need to be empowered with that knowledge first. I mean, if we continue with the consumptive expenditure and the consumptive patterns, then of course there's little hope for us. But if we empower ourselves with this knowledge, and every step that we take, if we just think how much of carbon footprint does this cause, and I think there's certainly hope, of course, why not?
So as an individual, what can we do? Because whatever we have suffered since ages, it is not as an individual, it is due to the, you say, due to the industrialization and to the other factors that has affected the universe. But the question is, and when we come to the point of mitigating those conditions, I mean, as an individual, what can you do? I mean, you have quoted some examples that you can switch off the TV and you can remove the standboard board, and then you can save energy. But these are the two little things you can do. But I mean, it's not a major gesture that as an individual you can make. I mean, what as a person, as an individual who is a victim of what is happening around him, you know, if glaciers are melting, I don't think I have contributed anything to that. I mean, I'm made to behave in a way I'm made to behave. You know, as an individual, what you're supposed to do and how you can react to the present situation.
I'd like to just add here also. My question is very similar to what he's saying. That when it's the West which is creating the larger footprint, how much is it that Southeast Asia or South Asia does the saving is going to help in the entire environmental carbon footprint reducing? Because no matter what contribution I put into it, if the West is going to continue misusing their carbon footprint, then we are ultimately going to suffer no matter whether I switch off the electricity here and don't do it.
Let me just make a brief point. Professor Sharma will answer this question. Okay, the West contributed towards it, but who's going to face the music? We are going to face the music, and we can't say that, you know, there'll be disaster over here, but I will not take any action because he's the cause.
The point
The second thing
we are
is,
only taking action.
I'll give you some examples.
Reduce it.
I'll give you some examples. Public pressure on this issue has led to change in practices in many organizations. And I'll quote an interview with the Pepsi chief, Indra Nooyi. And she says that the amount of water used for manufacturing of Pepsi has gone down to 1/3, though the the same amount of Pepsi is being produced. Because earlier, water was being wasted. And now that because of public pressure and people are saying that you're wasting so much water, the amount of water being used has actually come down to 1/3. So even if you empower yourself with this knowledge and you start questioning each and every act, a lot of these countries and a lot of these firms will be forced to take action. Just like I quoted the example of Nokia. Nokia is now saying that come at our recycle points and give us your old mobiles, because we will make sure we'll make mobiles which are only made from recycled parts. We have the example of Pepsi, and similarly, it is concerted action that will have to force the governments also to take note. But that doesn't mean that I should shirk my responsibility and not do something.
I think there will be, let me add something. It was a wonderful lecture. I was thinking some senior most professor of a university is giving this talk, and I am sure you can't find more than 4, 5, 6 people in this country who could have given such a wonderful, it's a fact. I think he has worked very hard. I have been working in this area for 20 years, but I feel that the things he has collected, it requires all commendation.